All right, so the next piece that we need to go to is example 3, and this is giant fractions. Notice that when we look at this problem, we have a quantity or a subtraction or addition in the numerator. We have two ways to look at this. You can pick which way you like. I will have both versions on the quiz and on the test, so I don't mind which way. So option 1. Option 1 is to treat this as a quantity divided by a fraction, or divided by 8. So we rewrote it as division. We know that that is really multiply by the reciprocal, so multiply by 1/8. That's our division rule. And this is the distributive property, the one we talked about yesterday. So we're going to do 48y times 1/8 minus 32 times 1/8, and then we're going to simplify. And 48y times 1/8 is going to give me 6y, minus 32 times 1/8 is going to give me -4. Now the other option is the one that I like the most because it still leaves us occasionally, if we need it, an improper fraction, and that's just fine. So this one we end up with the exact same answer, not an improper fraction at all. So let's look at it. Option 2, we take 48y minus 32 over 8. Same problem. The first thing I'm going to do is put in a set of parentheses so that my eyes remember that that's a quantity. After my eyes have put in that set of parentheses, then my brain is going to start drawing a heart. And when I draw my heart, all three numbers need to be divisible, right? This is a heart fraction. So all three numbers need to be divisible by the same number. Or a triangle fraction if you don't like hearts because you're a boy, you want to use a triangle, right? I don't know, I think boys should have hearts too, though. Whatever. And they're all divisible by 8. So when I do 48 divided by 8, I'm going to get 6y. Sorry, 48y divided by 8, I get 6y. We do -32 divided by 8, and we get -4. And we do 8 divided by 8, and we get 1. We know that every fraction that has a denominator of 1, that 1 can go invisible. So we end up with 6y minus 4. So those are either heart or triangles, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, I have a feeling that that's probably a new topic, so I think I'm going to talk through one more. But if you think you'd like to practice it first, then go ahead and practice on the next page. There are 2 examples at the top. So go ahead and practice, and then come back. If you're not quite ready to practice on your own, I'm going to talk through the next one again. So when I look at this problem, this next problem, I've got -5 minus 30q all over 10. So my first step Alright, let's try these problems together. The first piece that I'm going to notice, and again, depending on how you want to do these problems, you can either say, write it as a division, take the division, and write it as a multiplication by the reciprocal. So we really have is equal to the quantity -5 minus 30q times 1/10. We don't really need that multiplication sign anymore, right? We use that multiply, right? Divide by 10 is the same as multiply by the reciprocal. But if you want it, you can put it in there. I'm not going to complain. Because now we're going to multiply. It's really the distributive property. Let's use some arrows here. We need to multiply here, and we need to multiply here. So that we get -5 over 10 minus 30q over 10. And we simplify each fraction. -5/10 gives us -1/2. 30q over 10, so minus 3q. Changed my mind. I think I'm actually going to talk through both of these. And I want to look at this next problem as a heart problem or a triangle problem. So we put our quantity in because we see that the numerator has a subtraction. And when we see that, we can either draw a heart so that we remember all three things divisible by something, or draw a triangle. Kind of find a heart. I am kind of fond of hearts today. 12, 8, and 8 are all divisible by 4. So when I divide by 4, 12x divided by 4 is 3x. 8 divided by 4 is 2, so minus 2. And negative 8 divided by 2, I'm sorry, negative 8 divided by 4 is also a negative 2. So that if your answer looks like this in this problem, it's 100% right. And it's going to look a little bit different than if you had done it with this other method. If you had used the division rule, your answer is going to be exactly the same. It just looks a little bit different. It's exactly the same with the division rule. You would have negative 3x over 2 plus 1. Similarly, if you had used your heart method in the first problem, then you would have ended up with negative 1 minus 6q all over 2. So, depending on which method you use, you could have ended up with either answer, and they're exactly the same. As we go through the year, we'll start talking about which one we would prefer to have and which one we don't prefer to have. All right, I will see you for our next video.